Hi, welcome back to Comfy Cozy Knitting. I'm Laura Harden and I'm so happy to be with you today. I'm literally so happy. It's been quite the journey today, just trying to make this happen. I'm realizing that this way of engaging with my craft is needed in this season. And so, if you're here joining me, I'm very grateful for you. I may just edit this out because I feel like I'm getting all like sappy and whatever. But I think many of you can probably resonate with there's just so much going on right now. So many things that can get us down, things outside of us that we can't control, and then things right inside of us that we can't control, and then some things that we can control, but we're not very good at controlling. So life can be quite heavy, and it's in these moments that I'm grateful for simple joys like knitting and like knitting podcasts. And I'm really happy that I can participate in this art form. So let's get into it. I wanted to share just as some context into some things I'm going to be sharing later that I have been knitting for a little bit over 3 years and I am quite obsessed. I cannot get enough of it. I knit until recently, I've knit every single day. I've taken very few breaks. Knitting has become quite a lifeline to me, and I'm still like trying to understand why that is. I used to write like that, like I used to give a lot of time to writing, and now knitting has kind of stepped in and taken over. So I will share more about why that matters today in a bit, but let's get into my finished knits, what's fresh off the needles. And that is what I'm wearing before you right now. If you watched my last episode or any of my episodes, you should know what this is. This is the Salty Air Tee designed by Samantha Guerin. And I finished this like, I don't know, maybe a week ago, week and a half ago. This is my first time really wearing it. I don't know if you're familiar with Summer Lee's podcast, but she has talked about recently how much she loves sock knitting and how she loves it so much that she actually, until recently, hasn't really worn her socks because they're like works of art to her. And I couldn't really relate. I wear my knits, but I will say it's been hard to wear this one. It feels too nice. It looks nicer than anything else I have. Like there's not many like skirts or pants that fit really. And even the outfit I'm wearing now, this isn't something I would just wear around the house or to the store. So I see myself maybe wearing this on Easter Sunday. It's probably the night, literally, it's the nicest thing I think I have other than like wedding dresses, like bridal gowns, you know what I'm saying? So, bridesmaid gowns or whatever. So, yeah, I have to get used to wearing it. I hope to knit up more things if this becomes something that doesn't stand out. It definitely, what do they say? It elevates my wardrobe. So here it is. It's hard for you to see the whole thing, and I'll talk about it a little bit. I'm not even in the camera really. I'll let you see the lace work here. So what will I say about this? I have a lot of details. It's in my project notes, but I think what I'll say is this is knit in the yarn Malabrigo Mochita. It's a fingering single ply merino yarn. It is like the perfect colorway. It's colorway Sunset. It's very fitting for the design. I've talked in my last episode about why in the future I would not use a single ply yarn. I believe I did. Maybe I didn't. But basically, it's so soft that it's going to be given to pilling. And like with this area, especially since it's kind of snug in here, I'm concerned about that. Um, I'm thinking I have some notes over here. I knit it with size 3 and 4 needles, which is 3.25 millimeters and 3.5 millimeters. It's a circular yoke with lace work. I would say this is a very forgiving pattern. This is my first lace work pattern. I've started some lace work socks in the past, but I never finished it. But this is my first completed lace work pattern. I definitely made mistakes. I tried to fix them like when I realized what was happening on like the next round. But since I'm still a newish knitter, I wasn't always sure if I was fixing it rightly. But you can't really see any of the mistakes. Maybe you can, but no one else who's not a knitter, they can't really see it. And so I think this is a great pattern for someone who's new for lace work. Something I'm learning in another project that I'll talk about later is about yarn overs. So when you do lace work, you usually end up knitting yarn overs, which is like, say, this is something we all have done, especially as new knitters. We're knitting and then we're like, why am I creating new stitches? And it's because we're forgetting to keep our working yarn in the back or in the front, depending on if we're knitting or purling, and that creates a new stitch. Well, that is something that you do on purpose when you're knitting lace work. So what I wasn't sure about when I was knitting this is, say I create a yarn over and in the next round I need to knit that new stitch. Well, oftentimes that yarn over would look like a twisted stitch, like, and so I would wonder, should I knit this through the back loop so that it's not twisted? And I think I did that sometimes, but you can't tell. But what I learned literally yesterday is that if I knit through the back loop, it would remove the hole created by the yarn over. When you're doing lace work and they ask you to do yarn over, it's because they're intentionally making holes, right? So if I knit in the back loop, I'm removing that hole. Now that's a great tip or trick to know. If you accidentally did a yarn over and you don't want that hole, then you can fix it without having to tink back or frog back. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there for anybody else who wonder that. And if you know what I'm talking about and I'm getting something wrong here, please let me know in the comments. But I just found that very helpful. I'm trying to think, what else would I share? Oh, I do have things to share. I have things to share. So do I love this garment? Yes, I do. Is there anything I would do differently? Yes. This is snug, and you can kind of see here how it's kind of pulling or cinching. I don't know, something's happening right here. And so when I did my gauge swatch, I knew, well, I forgot this. I put this in my Ravelry notes and I never looked at it again. In my Ravelry notes, I said that I needed to do an extra repeat because my row gauge was wrong. But then in looking at the design, I decided I wanted to do one less repeat. Like I didn't want this to go down here because I didn't want my bra to show any more than it already is. So what I did is that I took away the repeat, but I just knit before I but whatever the next step is with the armholes. Like I just knit. So I just basically like doing those rounds, but just not doing the repeat on those rounds. So what I should have done is that I needed an extra repeat. So what I should have done is continue with my plan to not do another repeat. But I should have done, like, say there's 8 rounds per repeat. I should have just went ahead and did 16. And that would have added more fabric here, more length here, more space here before I joined for the armholes. I am new at this, so I don't know if that would have fixed it, but I ended up having to knit quite a bit to get the length I wanted. And I think it's because when I put this on my breast, it takes everything up. And so I am a 32D. And so this has been really puzzling. And again, this is something where I would love for you to chime in if you have any input on this. I'm finding that when I knit garments, it's always short. It's always too short. So this part is right because when I measure this, it's 32. So I'm getting the right size here, but something's happening in here that I need to accommodate. And I never thought that I was somebody that would need darts. I've always been small breasted, and then having children, I have 4, has changed that. So I'm trying to understand how to adjust, modify patterns for that. And I've been, listening to some videos, watching videos, trying to learn, but I know that I still don't know what I'm doing. So from what I can gather, if I had done that, I think it would have made things roomier in here. And I kind of wish I went longer, but based on how much yarn I had, I only had 2 hanks of the Malabrigo Rio Mochita, and I just have a tiny bit left. So I think this works. This works. Other than that, I love it. And even with this, whatever's happening, I still love it. But you know, as I knit, I want to know how to make it as perfect as possible. So just figuring out how to make modifications based on like my upper body. I think, I don't know, I feel like I have broad shoulders, but I really don't know if I do. So just trying to like figure all that out. Okay, so that is the only thing. Oh, I do have another item that's off the needles. The other project that's fresh off the needles are these socks. These are Laid Edges by Kelly McPherson. I love these socks. They're super cozy. They're wool with a little polyamide in them. It's knit in Lincava Manio on size 2 needles, I believe. Yeah, 2.75 millimeters. These are supposed to be for my comfy cozy sock shop, along with those basic unisex socks that I shared, I think, in my first episode. Well, update on my comfy cozy sock shop. I closed it today. I guess, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out when to get into this. But long story short, and one of the reasons why it's taken me a bit to get back on here is my arm hurts. After I finished this piece, and once I started working on my I-cord edging on my Sailor Swift top, which I'll show you in a second, I started experiencing significant discomfort in my arm. Just like a lot of tension in here, here, and like the lower shoulder blade area, especially like near my spine. And I was like, you know what? I think I really need to listen to my body. And it actually freaked me out quite a bit because, like I said earlier, I knit every day. It's like a lifeline to me. And I'm obsessed. So I think like over a week ago, Thursday, I didn't knit at all for like 2 days, and it was very depressing. But it was also good. It was good for me to see where my mind was, where my mind was at when I wasn't knitting. What were some things that maybe I was avoiding by just obsessing over my craft. But it was also just like, man, like this is something I really care about. And I have to really think about how I want to approach this going forward because I want this to be sustainable. And so since then, I've gone to the doctor and I've learned that this is quite manageable. This is not a crisis. I can still knit. I do tend to ice my arm before and after I knit, and I have compression gloves and a brace on the way. So I'm gonna do things to try to help things along, but it's not an emergency. But I do think it was a wake-up call. Like one thing I think that's going on is not just knitting, it's phone use, it's also posture. I tend to like to have my shoulders up a lot. This has been coming up a lot in karate, learning to keep my shoulders down. And as I'm trying to knit, I tend to knit now sitting at a desk or in my chair, and I'm trying to have good posture, and I have my arms like resting on the table or at a 90-degree angle in my lap. And it's hard. My shoulder blades, especially my back, doesn't like it because I've just been used to just, I don't know. So I'm learning a new way, but it also meant slowing down my knitting. Like I can't just obsess and be like, I want to finish this repeat on my socks, or I really want to get this I-cord edging done so I can start on this sweater, and I'm just obsessing. I'm knitting so much all the time. And that was something else I realized, was that I was knitting all the time. Like I was knitting in the block that I allotted for knitting once my homeschool day is done. And then my husband would come home and everybody's doing things, and I'm still knitting. I'm still, every free moment I'm knitting, right? And anything else is kind of like an interruption. This is like in the evening or on the weekend. So I'm just realizing, okay, I need to reel this in, and I need to get back to something I used to do, which is like knitting a project that's on small needles and then working on a project with big needles and just working different muscles in my hands. So that's even affected what projects I'm working on right now. And long story short, just to get back to the sock shop, is that if I have to reel things in and go slow, I'm not really feeling like knitting for someone I don't like. I have no idea if anyone's even going to buy these. Just knitting stuff when there are still things I want to knit for myself. So I have these 2 pairs of socks. I only got 2 socks in for the year that I'm already posting on my social media just for my community that I'm selling. And then from there, I'm just gonna, as I post socks that I've knit for myself and that I'm willing to knit for someone else, I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm taking custom orders. You're welcome to get on the wait list. Let them know what the time frame would be, and taking it just like one at a time, because I do want to make some money to kind of pay for my hobby, but I have to go slower. I can't just knit like 12 pairs of socks and still be working on my Make 9 and all these things. And at the end of the day, this is really for me. This is my hobby. And so no more comfy cozy sock shop. Yep, that's that. So I did say I knit these in Lankava Mania, right? So I'm going to just take the moment now to let you know that I am an affiliate with Finished Knits, an online yarn store in the US. She imports yarn from her home country, Finland, to make their yarns available here for anyone who wants them, who wants wool at an affordable price. So like, as an example, a skein of this yarn is $8.99, and you get, oh man, how many? It's a good amount of yards. Over 200 for sure. So if you're interested in trying it, this isn't merino, this is like woolly wool, but it doesn't say exactly what wool, but it's wool, and then it's polyamide, and you can get it in fingering or DK or Aran, and then she has some other yarn options as well. I've been focusing just on Lankava since I've been knitting socks. All right, so let's move on to what's on my needles. So first things first, I have my Sailor Swift top. I did finish the I-cord edge here, and it fits over my head. And I started the armhole, and this is about as much as I have. I'm picking up every single stitch. That's what I had to do here. And I decided to do the same thing on the armhole. I'm wondering if maybe I could have gotten away with doing 2 for every 3, since it's not a whole head getting through, but you still have the shoulder stuff. So I'm just playing it safe this time. I thought I heard my kids getting home. I'm playing it safe this time because I don't want to have to knit this again. And so I was talking about my arm, and I think one of the things that definitely impacted my hands and my arm is this I-cord edge. And I don't know if it's the I-cord edge. Let me know if you ever have any issues knitting I-cord edge, if it's hard on your hands or your wrists. And I don't know if it's that or if it's cotton. I don't know what it is. I didn't have any issues with the cotton. I've heard people say their hands don't like cotton. I didn't have any issues with that as far as I can remember in knitting this top, but I definitely don't enjoy knitting this edge. So I haven't knit it all week. I was trying to do a lot because I'm just ready for it to be over. But in slowing down, I decided to put this down because look at this. This is fingering weight yarn, Hobby Friends Cotton 84 in Blush and Deep Ocean. This is fingering weight yarn. So I was knitting with really small needles all the time. So now I'm trying to break it up, and I've been prioritizing the other project that I have on my needles, which is my Cherry Swirl socks by Fleece Artist, and my Sailor Swift top, that is by Veronica Lindbergh. This is by Fleece Artists, the yarn and the pattern. So the yarn is organic cottage socks in the colorway Sedona. This is a bag I found. It's a Victoria's Secret backpack I found at like a Goodwill that was kind of like a consignment fancy Goodwill in Pennsylvania, I think, and it was $4. So I used it as a project bag. This is the yarn Sedona, and this is Sedona worked up into cherry swirl socks. Now I'm all tangled up here. Let's see, okay. I feel like my kids when they're knitting, so everything's all tangled up. Okay. And I do apologize for the lighting. I just figured better just get it done. I have no idea when I'll have such an opportunity again. I mean, in a couple weeks, I don't know. So, yeah, these socks are being knit with size 1 needles, and that is, let's see, 2.25 millimeters. I cast on 64 stitches. It has this fun repeat here, and I'm gonna do, I think, 2 more. I think that's what the pattern calls for. I was gonna do 1, but I think it would just be fun to have a longer sock, even though we're entering warmer season. I just think I will enjoy them long. It's been fun. I've slowed down. I probably would be a lot further along without this whole arm fiasco, but I'm trying to be content. And I am knitting these in tandem. So it means I'm not doing it 2 at a time on with Magic Loop, but I do have a lot of size 1 needles, Chiagu wood, bamboo, and I don't know why I divided the balls the way I did. Clearly, I'm going to have to add more yarn to that sock from here because, yeah, I was really feeling winding this ball and I got a little ahead of myself. So those are the cherry swirl socks. Not much to say there. Those are for me. And the way I was going to do it was knit some socks for me and then some for the shop and go back and forth. But I think now I feel free to start after this one doing some of those Colorwork Cuff Club socks or knitting some socks for Adam or for my kids. Like I definitely feel like this has freed me up, and I also feel the freedom to go slow. All right, I'm trying to think what else is there. So that's all my needles. As far as what's next, I had all these ideas. Oh no, I have one other project, because remember I said that I'm going back and forth between small needles and big needles. So I was originally going to cast on my field sweater, and I wanted to show you guys this. I was complaining about the yarn, thinking, oh, it's not going to work, but it turns out I pulled it out after that episode, and I do like this yarn. I think it's going to be cute. I'm going to pop up the picture of the field sweater, and I think this is going to be cute. So I'm excited about it. This is Drops Charisma, and I don't know if it has a name for the color. It's just 81. But yeah, so I was going to do a swatch for this and cast this on, but I decided I do tend to just do fingering weight and DK weight, and so I thought maybe it'd be nice for my hands to change it up. So I went ahead and knit my swatch for the Felix pullover by Amy Christophers, and I started the project. So right now I'm still knitting the short rows. This is in Brava worsted from Knit Picks. This is an acrylic yarn. As I'm knitting this, I love the color. I really do. I'll see if I can show it better. I'm really like not sure how this is all showing up for you. I love the color, and I would say if you find that because of your budget or circumstance you need to do acrylic, I think it's so important that you choose a color you really like, because that's what's getting me through. I don't like the feel. And because this is a thicker yarn, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but sometimes yarn, it can really look like, oh yeah, you just knit that, but not in like a good way. Like it's just, I don't know. It just has that. I don't want to offend anyone. The terms I'm thinking of saying sound offensive in my head, but I don't know. It's just not the finish that I think I'm gonna love when it's done. My goal is to, if I have enough yarn, to make it long enough on my arms, long enough on my body that it really feels cozy. Because if I like the color and it feels cozy, if I like the fit and all that, it's roomy, I think I'll still enjoy it. I have one acrylic sweater that I got from JCPenney's years ago when I didn't really look at fiber content, and it can be really cozy, you know? So I think it's fine. I go back to what I said before, that I don't like that I compromised. And I think even on a budget, there are options that if I were willing to just sit on the money and just accumulate more slowly, that I could have waited and gotten what I wanted. Another thing I realized is I was so apt to knit the Felix and the field sweater in 2025. But what if I had said, I'm just going to knit the field sweater? Well, maybe I would have gotten the colorway I really wanted for the field sweater, like maybe a little more pricier yarn, or maybe I would have gotten fingering weight yarn and a mohair. You know, maybe I would have done more, or maybe I would have gotten wool and mohair for this, or maybe I would have just gotten the one wool yarn selection for one of the sweaters and just save whatever else for something else. You know what I mean? Like, why did I feel like I just needed to secure yarn for 2 sweater projects? Like, why did I have to do that? You know, I don't know. I was telling my husband the other night, I think it can be some of that scarcity mindset of like, I don't, especially since we're like a one income family, our budget's tight, we're always like thinking through our finances and stuff, and just like wanting to make sure that I have what I want, right? Making sure I have my little yarn thing that I'm not going to want for anything when it comes to my hobby. But the more I'm digging into just like dopamine and just learning about just a lot of stuff with the brain, I'm just thinking there is a healthy part of going without and having to wait. I have a lot of yarn. Maybe for a season, I just have to wait and just knit my socks. I have a lot of sock yarn. And then when I finally have the means to knit whatever bigger project I want to do, it's the one I really want to do, and it's that much more meaningful and pleasurable because of that, versus just getting whatever just so I can have it and I know I have it. So with all that said, though, I do love this color, and it is a nice break for my hands as far as the weight of the yarn is concerned. I don't love the feel of like that plasticky nature of it, but I do wonder when I wash it if that will help, you know, with that. So, and who knows, you know, I hope that we'll spend much more time together here, and maybe I will change my mind. I do have convictions. There are reasons why I would prefer not to use acrylic, even though, you know, even though I would prefer natural fibers, I'm still someone who's like, but I'm broke. And do I need to humble myself and just knit what I can for right now until I can afford more? And that's what made me make that compromise instead of just being patient and thinking through like maybe there is a way. So all that to say, I might come around and decide like another time that yeah, I'm just gonna use acrylic. Who knows? Who knows? You just never know. You never know what I'm gonna do. Just don't know. With everything that's going on, it's really good to be able to relax and focus on our simple joys and the things that are good. And I don't remember if I said this, but and not being able to knit as much as I like, having something like this. Like somebody said, well, maybe you could take this time to practice drafting a design. And I'm just like, that's not my thing. But I do like this. I'm not writing as much right now, but I do like engaging with people. I like connecting. I like creating content, especially when it's about something I'm passionate about. And I am passionate about knitting. And so this is fun for me. So I'm really thankful that you're here, and I hope to be back with you soon. Until then, may your knitting and crafting continue to bless you. Stay cozy.